Good morning, that's Dutch. Sampai Jumpa, that's Indonesian. Good morning, that's English. So you can tell that I am no longer on the ship. So let me tell you the story about what's going on after you watch these two little TikToks of us getting off the ship.
And we have arrived here in Seattle at Pier 66. There's the Space Needle. And there is the terminal. So Pier 66 in downtown Seattle. Welcome to Seattle, everybody. And that's a wrap. That's the end of our journey on the Holland American Coins and Dam. This has been a great trip. We're going to get off here in Seattle and go home. After 20 days at sea, time to go home. But you know what? It was a great trip, and we're looking forward to coming back on board Holland America in the future.
So as I said yesterday, my roommate tested positive for COVID. And when she got COVID, they immediately had her pack her stuff up and called her off to the quarantine rooms on board the ship. So I was on the ship by myself in my room, and with the COVID rules, I'm not able to do anything except I can eat in my room, and anywhere I go on the ship, I have to wear a mask. So we said, it's time to get off the ship. So we're here in Seattle, and we got off. So what happened is, when we arrived in Seattle, we said to the ship, we'd like to get off the ship. So the problem is, if we stayed on the ship was going to go back to Vancouver, Canada. Canada is a foreign country. So if we stayed on the ship, what would happen to us? We don't know. So would they have us stay on the ship until she tested negative? Would they have her get off the ship in Canada and then stay in a quarantine hotel for 10 days until she tested negative? We don't know. So we said we'd like to get off the ship and go home. Since we live here in Seattle, let's just go home and get it over with. So they told me that since I'm negative, I could get off the ship. So they told me to be ready by 8 a.m. So 8 a.m. I was ready to get off the ship, and I had my friend downstairs at 7:45 ready to pick me up. So 8:30 comes, and I'm still in the room waiting for them to call me to get me off the ship. I called guest service, and I said, well, we still have to get approval for you to get off the ship. And I said, okay. 9 o'clock comes, I called, and I said, hey, can we get off the ship? And they said, we're still trying to get approval. So finally at 10:15, they called and said, you can get off the ship. So my poor friend had to wait down there at the front of Pier 66 in her car for 2 hours for me to get off the ship. But my friend that was on the cruise with me, and because they tested positive, they could get special approval from King County or the Seattle area to get off the ship with COVID. So because they lived here, they were granted approval. But when they got off the ship, they had special rules to follow. So the number one rule is that they were not allowed to take any form of public transportation. So she had her friend Abner pick her up, and Abner had to wear a mask, and she had to wear a mask, and then he drove her home and got her there. So I have to confess that this is 2 weeks later after the cruise. Her COVID went away after about 10 days, and her just was a mild cold. So she had sniffles, a cough, and runny eyes and all that stuff, just like a cold. So it was nothing major, which thank goodness is the case. And I never did get COVID, so I tested like 5 times, never got COVID, so that was good. So we did miss one day of our cruise back to Vancouver. That was okay, we were able to get off the ship. Peace of mind, we didn't have to worry about what was going to happen next. We were very impressed with Holland America and their COVID protocols. So for me, because I tested negative, the rules were that I had to wear a mask anywhere I went on the ship, and I was not able to eat in the dining room. So if I went to the dining room, I have to take my mask off, right? And potentially expose people. So what they did is they said you had to eat in your room, so room service only. And that was okay. I had a good dinner last night and a good breakfast this morning. My friend, because she got COVID, when they found out she had COVID, they packed her up and they moved her to a quarantine room. So everything she had in our room was packed up and moved to this new room. So she said she liked her new room better because she had a bigger balcony, and that was fun. So she had fun with that. Holland America did a great job with COVID, keeping COVID off the ship. So I think when we went to Hawaii was having a COVID outbreak. So after everybody got off the ship in Hawaii and got back on, somebody brought COVID back on the ship. And Holland America wanted nothing to do with COVID. So what they did is they do contact tracing. So if anybody had COVID, anyone that was around that person with COVID and was tested, and they did follow the rules, wear a mask and eat in your room for 5 days. And after 5 days, they were able to do whatever they wanted if they tested negative. But if they tested positive, then they had to go to the quarantine rooms. And then they had to wait until they tested negative to go out of those rooms back to their own room. So that worked. So medical did a great job on board the ship, keeping COVID under control. And I think one of the reasons that they really did such a good job about COVID was because this was the first cruise to leave Canada since COVID began. So the very first cruise ship to leave Canada. And if we came back from Hawaii with a COVID outbreak, that would look really bad in the news, right? Imagine the headlines. First ship to leave Canada comes back with a COVID outbreak. So Holland America did everything they could to prevent that, and they did. So from what I understand, the outbreak of COVID on the ship was pretty small. So that's good. We had about 2,800 people, including crew on board the ship. And I think it was just less than 0.03% of the people had COVID on board the ship. So we were happy about that. So all in all, I'll give this cruise a 10 out of 10. So that's something that we would definitely consider maybe next year, doing the same itinerary again. Or there are other itineraries on Holland America that we would like to do. So I said earlier that we'd like to do that South Pacific cruise. It's 50 days, and you do Hawaii, and then you go to South Pacific Islands. So Rarotonga, Tahiti, Samoa, Fiji, Tonga, all those great places. And there's also another cruise that is South America. So you leave Buenos Aires, and you go around the Horn of South America to Chile. And then from Chile, you go up the west coast to the Panama Canal, across the Panama Canal, and then in Fort Lauderdale. So that sounds like a good cruise to do too. So we'll see about that one. So we got a plan. What's next? So as far as future travels, we do have some trips already planned. So in September, we're doing a celebrity cruise on the Celebrity Solstice, going to Alaska. So as you may have noticed, we do Alaska probably once a year. And then in September, we also have a Princess Cruise planned. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, because this Princess Cruise was supposed to be in 2020. And so I paid for it in full. And they said, you have to do something with your future cruise credits. So I rolled it over to this cruise to Alaska. So we may cancel that and move it to something else, because I don't want to do Alaska twice in 1 year. That's a little much. And then in October, we're going to do one of those one-day Seattle to Vancouver Holland America repositioning cruises. So that'll be a fun one too. So that is all I know. Everybody is safe and sound. We're home. It's good. We had a great time on the trip. I'm glad you're able to come with me. Let me tell you, vlogging every day for 20 days on a cruise ship is really hard to do. You can only do a ship tour so many times before you're like, okay, what do I do next? So we were able to do it. 20 days of vlogging. That's a lot. It's a lot of editing too on the backside. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time we travel. Hopefully that'll be sooner than later. But it's summertime now, so enjoy summer, warm weather, and no more cold snow until fall. Anyway, see you, everybody. Bye-bye.